13-year-old built a tiny house and hid something huge inside. When Luke was finally finished, he invited all his friends and family to celebrate with a housewarming party. Everyone was baffled to see what he had hid inside his house. One day Luke Phil, age 13, said he was inspired to build a home simply because he was bored. He spent about a year mowing lawns, running errands for neighbors, and fundraising to save up enough money to buy the necessary materials. Before long his ambitious project was underway. Luke's parents pitched in a little with the finances and labor, but it was mostly Luke's effort. The house was going to be small but cozy. It would be 10 feet long, 5 feet wide and a total of 89 square feet. So, what was the finished home of a bored teenager going to look like? It took Luke and his father all summer, but the two of them were dedicated to the task. Slowly but surely, Luke's miniature dream cottage was coming along and he was thrilled at the work they put in. He would actually have a place to call his own at age 13. When Luke was finally finished, he invited all his friends and family to celebrate with a housewarming party. Everyone was in awe of what he had achieved. Luke had a goal in mind and he didn't let anything stop him from attaining it. Get ready for a house tour. The first impressive aspect of this cottage was that it was equipped to handle all types of weather. It didn't matter if there was a thunderstorm or a blizzard, the adorable cottage offered Luke all of the personal privacy and protection he could ever want. It really was an amazing transformation from start to finish, but what exactly did it look like inside? Knowing people would be curious, Luke uploaded a video to YouTube where he gave a tour of his home. The first thing Luke pointed out in his video was the stoop that was attached to the front of the cottage. Luke built it all by himself, using reclaimed materials so he didn't have to spend even $1. Smart thinking. Next Luke took viewers around the side of the home, where he'd planted a small garden. He didn't know much about landscaping before this project, but he slowly learned it might not have been big, but it worked for him in his mini cottage. There was actually a good reason for the garden. Luke figured it couldn't hurt for him to start growing as food. He even had a tomato plant in the corner of the yard. Not only was it financially smart to be self-sufficient, but it ensured that the food he ate was produced without harmful chemicals. Luke also built himself a small fire pit in his front yard. He loved to be able to spend summer nights sitting by a campfire with friends and family, so he immediately knew he wanted one. The best part, the fire pit doubled as a barbecue. Of course, all work and no play made Luke a dull boy. He was sure to set up a hammock stand on the opposite side of his yard, so he'd have a nice place to sit back and relax, after all his hard work around the house. Every modern home needs a power source. Luke helped a neighbor who happened to be an electrician clean out his garage in exchange for an electrical box and power hookup in the cottage. It was a small price to pay for such a necessary feature. Luke's steel front door was a gift from his uncle's friend who'd heard about the project. He was more than happy to donate an unused door. The windows were all reclaimed as well. Luke made sure to go about the construction in the most financially feasible way he could. After showing viewers around the outside of his new home, it was time to see the magic on the inside. The first thing he pointed out was the flooring. He used basic plywood and putty and he topped it off with a patterned strip of carpet. For the center, Luke installed a kitchen counter on one side of the home which gave him enough space to cook and eat his meals. The counter also lifted up so he could stock items underneath if he ever ran out of room. Directly above the counter was a medicine cabinet where Luke stored lighters, silverware, spices and anything else he might need during the course of a day. It offered a convenient way to stock the essentials while also saving precious space. Luke even built a storage room in the ceiling. He knew that with a house so small he wouldn't have the floor space to keep a lot of his stuff. So he needed to get creative. The ceiling storage area utilized vertical space while keeping items on the way. Naturally, Luke wouldn't spend all of his time hanging out in his hammock or cooking indoors. Thanks to the electrical wiring, he was able to include a power strip, This way he could plug in his television and listen to music in his ceiling speakers. Isn't it amazing that someone so young had the inspiration to build himself his own house? It might have been small, but it was perfect for Luke. Watch him give a complete tour of his cottage. You'll be impressed by the gorgeous touches he added to the kitchen. In an age where iPads and video games have consumed the attention of young teens, Luke's project was incredibly unique and taught impractical skills to boot in.